So today's class is waking up with a tight sore back. I woke up with a sore back this morning and I thought, yeah, okay, we'll make that the focus because there's a number of things you can do before you get up and start to go into your day that can make quite a difference. So when I wake up with a tight back, my first thing that I try, and it's a really simple thing you can do while you're brushing your teeth, is 20 squats. So we're not going to do them all in one go. We'll do 10, a little bit of a break and then 10 more. But as you go into, so have your feet at hip space. As you go into a gentle squat, you're waking up your glutes and you're relaxing your hip flexors. So sometimes we wake up with a tight back because our hip flexors have tightened. Maybe we've slept with our knees up towards our chest. And so hip flexors would be psoas, iliopsoas, quadricep muscles, TFL, and different muscles in the legs. So it's just a simple thing to turn off those hip flexors and wake up the big glutes. Okay, so just 10. Try and get your knees over your big toes. And also it's going to bring in more blood and lymph, and it's going to just bring in an exchange in the fluid, in the tissues, so that maybe that also helps to speed up the release. That's about 8, 9, 10. We've got the chair here to help with balance as well as to sit on. So how about just doing 5 hip circles? So the hip circle is going to relax the hip flexors and it's going to mobilize the SI joint as well. So if there's a little bit of pinching, a little bit of impingement in the SI joint, sometimes just doing knee circles can help, and then try doing it the other way. Try not to move your torso too much. So if your body moves and your leg moves, the other leg, your body can cheat a little bit and escape the movement. So the body's pretty clever at figuring out ways to economize effort. So just be careful of that. So in a knee circle, you're trying to bring the knee across the midline, the center line, and around, and try and keep your pelvis really still. So it's isolating the leg, disassociating the leg from the pelvis. And then you go the other way, and again, you're still trying to cross the midline. So big muscles working here. Again, you're waking up the glutes. Just 5 in each direction. So already you should be a little bit more glute aware now. So then come back to feet hip space and do 10 more squats. So there's a feeling of the glutes stretching here and then contracting as you come up. You can also sort of gently push your hips forward to get a little bit more stretch in those hip flexors at the front of the pelvis. So make sure as you push forward, your spine is comfortable with that. So if it feels not right in the spine, then don't do it. But just see if you can get a little bit of forward push. Forward push. I forgot to count. That's about 7, 8. So but meantime, you're brushing your teeth. 9. And by the time you've done 20, you'll probably find as you walk away that you're actually feeling already a little bit better. One of the reasons why we wake up with a tight back is the psoas, which are the muscles at the front of the lumbar spine, connecting into the inside of the leg. They can shorten. You've got one either side. So a good psoas stretch is just to put your hands in the gap between the ribs and the pelvis, and just with your chin tucked, just gently stretch back. So you're supporting your back with your hands. You're creating a bridge with your hands so the back doesn't have to work too hard. And you're feeling the stretch at the front of your spine. And you're keeping your chin tucked so your neck is not aggravated by leaning backwards. And you do 5 to 10 of these. You can do these periodically through the day as well. So you're opening the space between the ribs and the pelvis in the front of the body, just to create a little bit of length in the psoas, because as the psoas shortens, it will bring you into an anterior pelvic tilt. It will shift your body forward. It will upset your spine. Let's just do a little test. So most important muscle in the body, in my opinion, is the diaphragm and the psoas. They're connected to each other. They're all part of one one line through the body, and they have so much influence in all of the body. Number 2 muscle that's important is glute medius. And the reason that glute medius is important is every time you lift one leg in walking, the other glute medius is working. Glute medius, if you were to put your thumb at the side of your pelvis and your fingers from the crest of the pelvis downwards, about the size of your hand, maybe a little bit bigger, is glute medius. So you've got glute maximus, you've got glute medius, and then underneath you've got glute minimus as well. But glute medius is really important as we're walking. It stabilizes the hip and the pelvis. 70% of the time that we're walking, only one foot is on the floor. So that means 70% of the time, glute medius is working. I've got a spirit level here, just to make you think about it, so that you don't just forget this fact and go away and carry on. The glute medius at either side, 1, 2, their job is to hold the back of your pelvis nice and level. So you've got to get the bubble in the middle. Here we go, there's the bubble in the middle. So it holds the back of the pelvis perfectly level. If one side gets weak for whatever reason, then the pelvis goes out, and then the hips, the SI joints, the back gets into a lot of pain and dysfunction. So we need to keep glute medius strong. And it's something that happens gradually over time. We get weaker and weaker in glute medius, and also sitting for a long time makes glute medius weak. So we're going to do a little test. If you have your feet at hip space, hands where glute medius is, so just sort of pointing towards the back of your bottom, and just gently shift from right side to left side. You'll feel the side that you move towards, you'll feel it contract, and you'll feel the opposite side relax. So that's a normal thing that happens as we're walking. And again, if you lift one knee, the side that you're standing on contracts, the other side relaxes. So 70% of the time, we've only got one foot on the floor as we're walking. So a really good test is to bring the feet not hip space and not together, somewhere between that. Just put your hands at the front of your pelvis, find the bone ASIS, the prominent part of the pelvis, with your thumbs, and just lift one knee up. And you want your thigh bone, your femur, upper thigh, parallel with the floor. Are you still level where your thumbs are? So I'm definitely not. Okay, do you feel wobbly? Do you feel that your body wants to move outwards or inwards to find its center of gravity? So as I do this, this thumb is higher. I can't maintain a level pelvis. So let's just try the other side. This side I'm level. So that tells me straight away that this side glute medius is weaker. Wobbling, it could be weak on both sides. If you're wobbling, if you're moving around, if you need to touch the chair, that means both sides are weak. So we really need to, if this is the second most important muscle in our body, we really need to focus on strengthening that muscle. And often that is the simple solution for SI joint dysfunction, hip problems, back pain. So it's that simple. If you keep these muscle groups nice and strong, pelvis stays in the level with the spirit level, and then everything starts to improve. So let's just do a vagal release, just to get ourselves in the right frame of mind. I should have done it maybe before I gave you that science lesson. So hands behind the head. Keep the chin slightly tucked, don't move the skull, and you're just looking up to the right elbow with the eyes. You want to feel that strong stretch in the eyes. You don't want your skull to move. I got my yawn straight away. You're looking for the yawn, the sigh, the swallow, a little bit more saliva in the mouth, any or all of those. So what happens in this vagal release is your diaphragm is being stretched, your solar plexus is being stretched, your psoas. So you get that release of stress, and then just gently come back into center. Close the eyes for a second, just to sort of punctuate the movement, and then looking up to the left elbow with both eyes. You want to feel that uncomfortable stretch in the eyes, and you're forcing yourself to focus on the elbow, because the eyes will want to look around and not be so targeted because it's an effort. And so you're stretching one of the vagal, one of the cranial nerves that is part of the vagal system that comes into the eyes. A lot of our proprioception and feedback is coming from the eyes. So this side, I've got a gentle side, the other side, I've got a strong side. So that just shows that, you know, one side is more out of balance than the other. That's quite normal. And that changes all the time. So it's about 30 seconds. And then just release the arms down and just move the head. So you're already more aware in the brain, you're more socially engaged, you're more able to concentrate. Neck's more relaxed, thoracic spine is more relaxed. Everything is improving, heart rate, blood pressure. So let's come to the wall, and we're going to look at the back through a different methodology today, which is looking at the nervous system and looking at glute medius. So just different focus, because not everything works for everybody. So we're going to do the postural restoration exercise, where you've got the sacrum against the wall. You're going to have your feet at hip space, right arm extended, left hand in the waist. And you're just going to breathe in through the nose and just feel like you're stretching out through the arm. Make sure that the pelvis stays always on the wall. Hold the breath for 5. You can count that out on your fingers. And then blow up the balloon and feel this left side contract, contract. 3, 4, 5. As you do that strong out breath, it will bring your spine into flexion. So your upper body will leave the wall slightly. So again, breathe in through the nose for 5. Make sure the pelvis, back of the pelvis stays on the wall. Hold the breath for 5. Blow up the balloon. 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, breathe in for 5. You can feel the ribs expand. Hold the breath for 5. Blow up the balloon and contract. So what you're feeling is your deep core line, your deep front line on the left, activating all the way up through. Breathing in. Hold the breath. Blow the balloon up. Still keeping the back of the pelvis, the sacrum on the wall. So 5 times you do this breath cycle. So last time, breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the breath. Blow up the balloon. So by which time you've got quite a strong flexion through the spine, drop the arm and then just slowly roll back up. Doing it against the wall is probably the quickest, easiest way to do this. And it's just really about balancing the brain. Dominant right side brain, so we want everything to be a little bit more equal. So bring your chair into a place where you can sit on it. I'll get rid of the spirit level now that it's not needed. Second way of doing a PRI, a postural restoration exercise, is in a chair. I quite like this one. This one's good for switching off tight hip flexors. So you've got your feet on the floor. You're going to take your left arm, maybe have your feet together for this one. Left arm around the front of your knees. You're reaching out through the right arm. Same breath pattern. Maybe not looking forward like I am. Drop the chin so that your neck is relaxed. So you're breathing in through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the breath for 5. Blow the balloon up for 5. And you're just gently holding the knees. Again, breathing in, reach. Do the right side ribs expand. Hold the breath. Blow the balloon. So your chest is gradually coming onto your thighs. Breathing in. Do the right side ribs expand. Hold the breath. Blow the balloon. 2 more, breathing in. Right side expands. Hold the breath. Blow the balloon.
Quite a strong low back stretch this as well in sitting. One more time, breathing in. Feel the right ribs expand, lengthen. Hold the breath. Breathing out, blow the balloon. Drop the arm, and then just slowly rolling up into an upright position. So because the hips are slightly higher than the knees in this position, it's going to allow the hip flexors to relax. So we're going to come into the towel. We're going to get the small hand towel, fold it in half, roll it up so it becomes a little mini roller. It's a really handy tool, doesn't cost anything. So you've got your little mini roller, you see that? And you're going to put it in this direction, going across under your sit bones on the chair. So what you've done is you've created, you know, about 4 or 5 centimeters of space that now you can come into a pelvic tuck and come back into upright. So as you come into a pelvic tuck, you're stretching those lumbosacral muscles, fascia. You could drop your head and round a little bit so that you're bringing in thoracic spine, cervical spine, and just do about 10. So, you know, this whole set of exercises, you could do just one of these exercises. You don't have to do the whole hour. You could just pick one and try it on the days that you wake up when your back is tight. So maybe you get up, you have a cup of coffee, you make a little rolled up towel on your chair while you're having your coffee or your breakfast. And while you're sitting there, you're just coming into a pelvic tuck. So this is a posterior tuck. Your belly button is moving backwards, your tailbone is tucking under, you're stretching your lumbar spine, you're activating your glutes, you're allowing tight hip flexors to relax a little bit. So often, you know, just a minute of this is enough to then get up, walk away, and that spasm that your back is trying to go into has freed. Okay, so say we've done a minute of that, we could take the little towel out and we could do it going front to back. Okay, so you're putting it this way on the chair. So what's happening now is it's sitting sort of in the middle, and now your 2 sit bones are creating a seesaw. So if you put your hands, put your thumbs on the front of your pelvis, right sit bone drops down, left sit bone or hip rises, left sit bone drops down, right ASIS rises. So you can see that the pelvis is doing this. Now that is a good move because it really gets into the lumbosacral fascia. So everything from the belly button down in the back of the body is getting a bit of a stretch. So again, while you're having your coffee in the morning, you could just be sitting in this position. Sometimes the tension is in the middle back, the lumbar spine, or maybe it's the bottom of the rib cage, or maybe it's the sacral area. So this one's going to, you know, address all of those. So you do about a minute of those. So just come into a level position. Let's just do a Cossack for a minute. So just nice and slow. So we're acting as though our back is really stiff, really tight, not very happy with rotation. So just find your 60% range. And once you've done a few of these, maybe 10, you start to think, okay, my brain is telling the muscles, this is okay, relax a little bit. If you think you could do more, as you, I'll do it on the right side, as you drop your right side sit bone over the seesaw, you're turning to the left. Come back through center, level up through the pelvis, drop the left side sit bone, turn to the right. Try and keep your nose sort of roughly in the middle, lined up with your wrist bone, because neck dominant people will always try and lead with the head, and then that brings the spine into far more rotation and less control. So you want to keep the cervical vertebra doing what the thoracic vertebra is doing, what the lumbar spine is doing. So we don't want the head acting as an independent operator. because that can take your spine out of a safe range into a compromised range. So the Cossack with a seesaw. Okay, so really nice for the long muscles of your back. So then if you wanted to take that even further, just come back into a sitting position. We could come into a mermaid, just a regular sit. So we're staying level at the pelvis. And again, we're doing about 10, just testing the waters. Now the mermaid will bring in the sidelines of the body, the lateral lines, and also the spiral line. So a little bit more advanced. So 60% range, 60% effort, nice and slow, so that the brain perceives this movement is safe. Through the vagal system, it will send messages back to the brain. This is okay, the back's safe. Then the muscles will start to really relax. So now you've done a good 10 of these, you could drop the sit bone. So left side sit bone drops into mermaid. So now much stronger. So you're going those extra 4 or 5 centimeters deeper to bring in more movement. So that's how you would start. And as this starts to get better, you bring in the spiral line more, you come up and over and you turn to look behind your shoulder slightly and come back. Make sure there's a sense of growing taller, rotating and looking behind. And do it slower. If you think this is quite a challenge, do it slower. Give your body plenty of time to organize itself. Focus on your breath. Couple more. So these really become a Feldenkrais technique. One more each. So it's so lovely. I'm just going to do one more this side and one more this side. So that's something you can do as you have your breakfast, just with a small towel. Now coming into, still sitting on the chair, I want you to bring your feet together. And I want you to do a little bit of a pelvic tuck and then press the feet together, but open the knees. And you'll feel straight away, if you put your hands at the back of the pelvis, glute medius. So we've balanced a little bit, now we're bringing in strength work. So we're going to do a pelvic tuck, roll back a bit, and then press the inner edges of your feet together as you open your knees, and you'll feel glute medius activate. Not just glute medius, it will be transversus abdominis, pelvic floor, adductors, but especially glute medius, and come back into relax. So let's do that again. So a little bit of a roll back, press the inner edges of your feet together and let the knees open. You start to feel glute med waking up. You could put your hands on the outside of the knees, a little bit of a roll back, press your hands into your knees and press your feet together. So a little bit of isometric pressure there. So isometric means equal pressure. So you're pressing the hands into the knees into the hands to create work for the muscle. Press the inner edges of your feet together. You feel transversus firing up as well, and come back into relaxed. So you're tucking under, press the knees outwards, press the feet inwards, and come back. So already now, after 5 or 6, my brain is really talking to glute medius, especially the side that's for me is weaker, which is this right hand side. Now I said to use a band if you've got a band, or you could use a scarf. If you want to advance this, you might not want to. Some of these are more advanced than others. If you feel your SI joint problem or hip problem or whatever doesn't like going stronger, then go back to an easier level. But put your bands just above the knees, and it wants to be enough. So if you're going to tie it in a bow, it wants to be tight enough that as you open your knees, you can feel glute medius straight away. Okay, so same exercise. We're doing a little bit of a roll back. We're pressing the inner edges of our feet together, and we're opening the band. 1, 2, 3, and releasing. So let's do 5 more. Roll back, press the feet together, opening out through the knees, connecting with your glute med. 1, 2, 3, and come back into neutral sitting. So we do that again. Roll back, press the feet together, open through the knees, connect in your brain with glute medius. 1, 2, 3, come back into neutral sitting. So if you're weaker on one side, the brain connection to that side will also be weakened as well. So you're rolling back, press the feet together, opening through the knees, find your glute med. 1, 2, 3, releasing. So again, you don't need to do all of these. You could just do one of these you could do one balancing exercise, one strengthening exercise, and go off. You've gradually gotten weaker through glute medius through decades, so you're not going to just fix this in one session. They say about a month. If you did it for a month, you'd notice straight away that everything is improving. But your back pain should switch off, and your hip pain and your SI joint pain should be instantly better. So roll back, press the feet together, open through the knees. 1, 2, 3, and releasing. So I can definitely feel glute med is definitely awake. So we're going to come to standing. So put the ball over here. So we're going to do a couple of standing exercises. So the first one we're going to do is I'm going to move my chair over this side so you can see a bit better. The chair is needed now because you might be a little bit wobbly. So we quite often do a hip hinge exercise where the legs come up at an angle, slightly diagonal to the widest part, but the inner part of the leg, so the big bump on the outside of the leg is here, but there's a smaller bump at the top of the femur, which is coming into the pelvis here and here. So put your fingers where the legs come into the pelvis. We quite often do a double hinge, which is a great exercise. So it's going to stretch the glutes, it's going to strengthen the glutes. So it strengthens the muscles as they lengthen and as they contract. So it strengthens them in both directions. So you've got an eccentric loading, and then you've got concentric loading as they come back up. So it's really, really a good way to exercise these muscles. Now, we're going to make it harder by taking one leg away, lifting one foot, and we're going to hinge forward. So one hand on the chair, and then really focus on the glutes working to come back up. So you're hinging forward. Lots of wobbling and balancing. The ankle is doing all sorts of crazy things, but it's really good for the ankle because the ankle is very important in proprioception. And so all those little micro movements that your ankle is making is really important for good function in walking. So don't think wobbling is bad. As you get better, you might be able to do this without the chair. And don't think nose to big toe, think belly button to big toe. So you don't round your spine, you're staying in a very neutral spine and you're keeping the work in the leg that's standing. So I can really feel now glute med and glute max on that one. So it's working all of the glutes. So it's a great exercise. So then change legs. So you want the foot lifted, the knee bent, and you're going to move from the front of the hip. You're not rounding your back. So don't think nose to toe, think belly button to toe. The spine doesn't alter its position at all. It's never compromised. So I'm going to put one finger on the chair. I'm on my weaker glute medius side now, and I can feel a lot more wobbling in the ankle, a lot more effort, and my core is really firing up as well because it knows that the glute medius is weaker on this side. It's not quite doing what it should do, and so I've got other muscles jumping in. That's normal, but eventually if you practice these exercises regularly, I'm holding the chair a bit more as well, and I don't think I'd want to do this without the hand on the chair. So you're doing about 10. Or to fatigue. If you get to fatigue and you think if I carry on any longer I'm going to get cramp, then just stop and keep repeating this exercise over the days and the weeks until you can easily do 10. Oops.
and rest. So that was a lot harder for me on that side. So little knee bends, just stretch out the bottom. So that was a hinge where your spine stays in neutral and you're just hinging forward at the hip. So let's come back to the other leg now. Let's do a single leg squat. Not most people's favorite exercise. You don't need to go very deep. If you've got knee issues, keep it quite shallow. Again, if you put your thumbs on your pelvis, how level are you? I'm not level. I can see, looking at myself, that this side is higher. This glute medius is just not able to keep that spirit level with the bubble in the middle as I do it, as I do the movement. It's going to be worse when I change legs, I'm sure. So this is my strong glute med at the moment. So again, you do about 10. You don't need to go deep. If you go deep, it's more quads. If you keep it shallow, comfortable, it's more glutes. Do it slow. You might hit a bit of a wobble as you get tired. One finger on the chair. So you don't want to be feeling this in the knee and the quads. You want to be feeling this in the back of the body and the glutes. I can definitely feel glute medius, minimus, and maximus working on that side. So just do a few squats. So my brain is very aware of bottom muscles now. So change sides. And it should be, the bottom should be strong. So now lifting the other knee, the other foot off the floor. Try and keep the shoulders over the pelvis. Don't go too deep. You could measure. So I can see as I'm doing this that this side of the pelvis is hiked up a bit because glute med is not holding the pelvis level. So we're doing about 10. I'll stop talking because it's harder and I'm having to concentrate. So it's really forcing the weaker side to do its job, whereas normally in any movement, the stronger side is always compensating, always doing a little bit more. So then you don't really address the imbalances. You see that pelvis is not level. So not deep enough to aggravate your knee, just deep enough to wake up glute medius, minimus, and maximus. So yeah, they're definitely awake now. So do a few little knee bends. A few ponies, just relax the legs as much as you can. So this one is an interesting one. You grab your ball. You put the ball against the wall. You find a wall space or a door. And you're going to bring your knee against the wall, against the ball. And then you're just going to, you can put your elbow on the wall to help with the balance. And you're going to press this knee into the ball, which fires up glute med on the standing leg. 1, 2, 3, and relax. So I've got my elbow on the wall, pressing this knee, the bent knee into the ball. 1, 2, 3, relax. It's possible that you might be able to take your hands away. 1, 2, 3. The tough one, this one, so maybe only 4 or 5. Pressing. 1, 2, 3. Pressing. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go for 6. 1, 2, 3. And I could actually feel both glute med. The wall pressing into the ball fired up this side and standing fired up the other side. So some exercises will work both at the same time. So you're going to turn the other way, put the knee against the ball, elbow on the wall if you feel a bit wobbly, and you're going to press the knee into the ball. 1, 2, 3. So glute med is firing up on the standing leg as well. Pressing. 1, 2, 3. Make sure the standing leg is not too far away from the wall. Maybe try balancing. 1, 2, 3. Doing 6, so 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Really good isolation. 1, 2, 3. Last one. 1, 2, 3. And relax for a minute. So if you were now to just do a few squats, you should really feel that you're glute centric. You're coming from the glutes, whereas when you did the first ones, it might have been the whole body trying to do a squat. Now you should feel very much glute medius, that middle-sized muscle in the glute. Should actually feel its presence in space now. Definitely feels different for me. So one more in standing, and then we'll give the glutes a bit of a rest. So we're going to just take the leg out to the side. I want you to turn your big toe down slightly, and I want you to move your heel slightly back. So rather than go directly to the side, go slightly backwards and toe down. So that's really going to force glute medius to work. And the other thing you could do is turn your standing foot towards the chair. So that knee can stay a little bit more relaxed. As you do this, make sure the body isn't cheating and doing the work. So the body stays completely still. So you're disassociating the leg from the body. And again, in this one, glute medius on the standing leg is working as glute medius on the rise. So both sides working. So up to 10, but if you think, oh my gosh, I'm so tired now, I need a rest, then have a rest. I can definitely feel those muscles are saying they want to rest. But the good thing for me is I can feel the weak side in the brain. So that's a good thing. So just do a few knee bends, a few ponies. You could just turn around or carefully move the chair. You don't want to upset the back on the turn. So remember, we turned the standing foot towards the chair just to make it easier for the knee. And we're just lifting to the side and only lift to a height where the torso doesn't move towards the chair. And then turn the big toe down and go slightly towards the back, just slightly. So if the side is here, you're just going slightly back. We're going to do up to 10 or to fatigue. Make sure there's no cheating in the torso. That's 7 for me. 8. 9. This actually feels easier to me, and it's because I'm on my lazy side. 10. So that brain connection isn't as good as the other side, and the other side is tired because it's always working that little bit harder. So just do some little knee bends. So if you fatigue very quickly, that's usually pointing you towards a dominant side that's compensating, and that's why it doesn't want to do much, because it's already quite fatigued. So coming into the floor, we get to lie down on the floor, and we're coming back into PRI, postural restoration. You might want a pillow for this. I'll get rid of the chair. We grab the band, we grab the ball. So the first one we're going to do is we'll grab the pillow for the head, and we're going to lie on our back. It's always the same breath pattern for PRI, and it's always the left side, the right side dominant, always focusing on the left. So put the ball under the left foot. If you haven't got a ball, you could use a pillow. So it's just something physical to push into. Put your right hand on the right side of your rib cage, your left hand in your left waist. You don't want your feet too close to the bottom. That makes the movement quite difficult. So you're going to breathe into the right side of the rib cage, expand. As you breathe in, feel like the ribs are moving away from the pelvis, and the pelvis is moving away from the ribs on that right side, getting longer. Hold the breath for 5. As you're holding the breath, push the foot gently into the ball. As you blow up the balloon, you're pushing down into the ball, and you're dragging the ball fractionally toward your pelvis until you feel the left side abdominal muscles firing up. and then come back to relax. You're not going further and further each time. So breathe into the right side. Expand and lengthen through the right side. As you hold the breath, you're pressing into the ball, just gently to create biofeedback. As you blow up the balloon, you're dragging the ball, pushing down into the ball and dragging it fractionally toward your pelvis, so you can feel your abs, your obliques, your psoas, iliopsoas under the hip, inside the pelvis, and gently relaxing. That's that whole deep line through the left side. So breathe into the right side, expanding, lengthening. Hold the breath and press into the ball. For 5. Blow up the balloon and push into the ball and drag upwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Some people find it better to extend the arm. That helps them to connect with that right side better than touching the hands on the ribs. Depends on you. So you're breathing in for 5, reaching through the arm. Hold the breath and press into the ball. As you blow up the balloon, you feel like the ball is being pulled upwards, and you can feel that left side contracting, 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 relaxing. So breathe in and reach. 4 hands on the ribs. As you hold the breath, press into the ball, get into position. As you blow up the balloon, dragging the ball slightly towards you, feel that left side contract, 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 and relaxing. So that one is a way of relaxing your psoas on both sides, hip flexors, and also working the brain. So now we're going to put the ball, I'll swing up because I'm on the wrong side, put the ball, oops, between the knees. You want your right side up always when you're doing these exercises. This one is specifically for adductors, pelvic floor, SI joints. You're going to have your toes together, the ball at the knees, head lifted up. So you've either got a really big pillow so that the neck is at an angle, or if your neck's okay with being held up by the hand, you do it this way. So you don't want neck muscles dominant, otherwise what's down here isn't going to release. So again, hand at the ribs if you like doing it that way, or arm extended. You're breathing in and you're reaching, expanding into the right side, feel the waist lengthening. As you hold your breath, just roll the top side of your pelvis forward, but not the shoulder. So just a slight shift, and then blow up the balloon and right knee pushes into the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then come back into your start position. So it's quite good to do at least one with the arm extended, because that helps you not to move back through the shoulder. So you're breathing into the top side, lengthening. For 5, you roll back through the pelvis as you hold your breath, but keep the shoulder in position. And then as you blow up the balloon, you're pressing the right knee into the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you feel that floor side contracting and shortening. So again, breathe in and reach. For 5, roll back through the pelvis, but not the shoulder. As you blow up the balloon, you're pressing, contracting, come back into neutral. So again, breathing into the top side, lengthening through the waist. As you hold your breath, roll back through the pelvis, but not the shoulder, not the ribs. Blow up the balloon and press right knee into ball. Gently come back. So really good abdominal exercise, as well as breath exercise, as well as brain exercise. So one last time, breathe into the top side, expanding and lengthening through the ribs, through the waist. As you hold your breath, the pelvis rolls back, but not the shoulders, not the ribs. As you blow up the balloon, you're pressing, 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 contracting, abs, waist, and relax and come back into center. Take the ball now and put it under the, so I'm reinforcing what's on another video.
But just showing you how you can use all these techniques to really just target the back. So this one is really lovely for long muscles of the back. They all do slightly different things. So again, the neck wants to be at an angle, so the neck muscles can't fire up too much and can't dominate. Arm reaching or hands at the ribs. So you're going to breathe into the top side, feel the waist lengthening. This time, as you hold your breath, you're rolling the top side of your pelvis forward, but not your shoulder. And as you blow up the balloon, you're sliding the ball away from you, and you'll feel those long back muscles get a stretch. And you feel the floor side contracting, contracting, contracting. Come back into relax each time. Don't think you've got to go further and further. So breathe in and reach, expanding into top side of ribs. As you hold your breath, the pelvis rolls forward through the ASIS, but the shoulders, ribs stay where they are. As you blow up the balloon, you're gliding away, gliding away. Find what's comfortable in your spine. Come back into relaxed and neutral. Breathing into the ribs, right side. Hold the breath, pelvis moves forward slightly. Blow up the balloon and slide the ball away. 2, 3, 4, 5. And you feel those lower muscles really deeply contracting. Come back into relaxed. So again, breathing in and reach, or breathe into the ribs, whichever you prefer. As you hold your breath, the pelvis rolls forward. As you blow up the balloon, you're gliding the ball away. So as you get better at this, you don't need the visual cues anymore. You can just do it just because you know your body so well. So you could breathe into the right side of the ribs, feel the waist lengthen, hold the breath, pelvis rolls forward, blow up the balloon and stretch away, away, away. Come back into relaxed. One more, still with the foot on the ball. This one is for glute med. You're going to breathe in again, so maybe you're reaching through the arm. Holding the breath, slightly roll the pelvis forward. And this time, as you blow up the balloon, the toe is down and you're reaching slightly behind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and come back to the ball and come back into center. So again, reaching the arm, breathe in and reach. As you hold your breath, the pelvis rolls forward, and as you blow up the balloon, the toe is down and the heel is stretching to the back. So it's bringing your hips into extension and firing up glute med and come back. Breathing in for 5. Right side ribs expand. As you breathe, as you hold the breath, the pelvis rolls forward. As you blow up the balloon, your toe is down, internal rotation of the femur, hip extension as you reach back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and glute med is doing the work. 2 more. Breathe in and reach. Hold the breath and roll the pelvis forward. 2, 3, 4, 5. Lifting the foot with the toe turned down, heel stretching to the back, glute medius firing up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and come back down. So maybe you're not right side weak, you're left side weak, but you still do it with the right side, because to bring your body back into balance, you have to address what's going on in the brain. And so by doing this exercise, you allow the left side to actually become more connected to the brain. So it's quite complex, but always right side up. So breathing in, reaching, last one. Roll the hip forward, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lifting up, toe down, heel stretching back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and come back into relax. Well done. So bend your knees. So now we could bring the head onto the pillow if you find your neck's uncomfortable after being propped up for so long. And let's just come into a clam. I'll keep an eye on the time. We're still okay for time. So a clam is one of the classical Pilates exercises. But the reason it's so popular is because it works on the rotators, the deep muscles of the glutes and glute medius. It really strengthens glute med because we know in Pilates that if glute med is weak, then the pelvis will be very unstable. So as you do this, the bone of the pelvis, the ASIS, that prominent part of the front of the pelvis, does not move, does not roll back. If you find it hard to do that, you put your hand on the floor, your head in your hand, and bring that top shoulder forward. So now it's impossible for your pelvis to roll back, and you get that good isolation into glute med. So that's a really good way to train your body to do this really well. Okay, so then we could try an open clam. So the open clam brings in glute medius. You're still working glute maximus, still working glute medius, and you're very aware of that, but it just is a way of maybe doing a few more. I maybe should have changed sides. This side is still tired from what we did with the ball. And little rest. So if you can feel glute med now, it's a bit of a massage, so you're sort of fanning out. So glute medius goes from the rim of the pelvis and it attaches to the greater trochanter, the bump at the top of the leg, at the widest part of the hip. That's all coming into here, so you can feel that. Another good way to strengthen glute med is to lift the knee into parallel, the shin into parallel, knee to knee, toe to toe. Internal rotation, external rotation of the femur in the hip. Knee to knee, toe to toe, knee to knee, toe to toe, and bring the knees together. Can we come to sitting, and let's change sides. So take your pillow with you if you need it. Feeling up a bit now. So come back into side lying, feet together, hips stacked, and the regular clam. So just feel ASIS, that prominent bone at the front of the pelvis. Make sure it's not moving backwards. So if you really can't do it without the hip moving backwards, then you have to do the version where you've got the head down in the hand, the top shoulder pulls forward to keep your pelvis isolated. So even if you can do it with your pelvis nice and still, putting the head in the hand, you'll feel it's a lot harder. So you might want to try that version anyway, just so that you make this muscle work more. So then we went into the open clam, which brings in glute maximus to help for a little while, so that we can still do a few more glute med. So when we have problems with glute medius, it's because of weakness. You might feel that the triggers are really fired up and unhappy, but you have to address the weakness. Otherwise, you're just going to keep going back into that unhappy trigger points and short, tight muscles that are locked up and blocked. So you have to address the weaker side, and then the side with the triggers that's unhappy can start to relax. Otherwise, it will just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. So that's your parallel. A little bit of a rub if you feel like that's a bit of a tight area now. And then the final one was parallel, knee to knee, big arc over, big toe to big toe, knee to knee, toe to toe, knee to knee, toe to toe, knee to knee. So there's quite a big hip movement as well. There's not, you know, all of these exercises are not just glute med, there's other muscles working as well, abs, leg muscles, but specifically targeting glute med. Last one, and a bit of a stretch. So you could bring the leg across and give it a bit of a stretch. The other thing you can do, which probably we haven't got time for now, is you can put the band around the knees and you can do a clam
with the band, and that's going to make things work even harder. So final one for glute med is we're going to do a mermaid. We're going to do a side, it's really a side plank, the form of a mermaid that's more for strength. Bring the knees into bent and quite close because that makes it easier. Make sure that the elbow, so the most important thing in this exercise is elbow under shoulder, so that you don't overload the shoulders. And then you're going to put your fingers on the floor just to help. And you're just going to lift your bottom, your pelvis off the floor and come back down. So as you lift the pelvis, your obliques and glute medius are firing up to lift the pelvis. So you could take the hands out in line with the shoulder, the abs going on there as well. You could take the hand up to the ceiling. You could try lifting toes together, open and close, and come back down. Lifting, arm up, open, close. So only add in the opening knee if your glute medius is not already very unhappy. Lifting, arm up, open, close. So you should feel the whole of the side body and glute medius working in this. So lifting, arm up, open, close, and come back down. Change sides. So elbow under shoulder, most important thing. Okay, ankles and knees stacked, knees bent and close in. As you get better, the legs can go out into straighter and straighter. So just start with fingers on the floor for balance and just lifting and lowering. Make sure the neck stays in line with the spine. Lifting and lowering. Maybe you take the arm out to the side. Maybe you take the arm up to the ceiling. Maybe you lift, open, close, and come back down. Lifting, arm, open, close. Lifting, arm up, open, close. That's one. Lifting, arm up, open, close, and come back down. Coming into sitting. We're there pretty much. So let's just do a few rollbacks now, just to stretch. Hands behind the knees, looking at the feet. Tuck the ribs under in the front, tuck the tailbone under. And let's just do some rollbacks. So we're rolling. Imagine you're rolling through a wheel that's in your hips. So imagine there's a wheel here, and as you roll, the wheel is turning, if that makes sense. And you've got one either side, so you're rolling through the hips. The ribs are tucking under in the front. And again, so we've done a lot of ab work already indirectly. Let's just switch the focus to the abs now, just so the bottom muscles can have a little bit of a rest. There's not much glutes in this, it's more deep abs. Couple more. Last one. Come back in. Just drop the legs, drop the nose to the knees, pull the belly under the ribs, little gentle pulses, nose to knees. How does the back feel? Come back up into sitting, and you've finished.